Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Folks, almost two-thirds of Democrats are not sold on Biden for 2024. This is an alarming statistic for President Biden and the White House. Welcome to our channel, everyone. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country, the economy, as well as our money. There's a new poll, and by the way, I'll show you this poll on your screen right now. It's an NPR PBS NewsHour Marist National poll, and this poll analyzed trust in elections, threat to democracy, Biden approval ratings. This new poll is actually going to cause serious alarm amongst Democrats and the White House because nearly two-thirds of Democrats and Democrat-leaning independents do not want President Joe Biden to be their party's nominee in 2024 or are not sure if he should be the nominee. Folks, this is a pretty alarming information. Before I get into that, let's take a quick look at some images from this poll. If your candidate for president does not win in 2024, do you trust the results are accurate or not? 82% of Democrats said that they would still trust that the results were accurate, but only 33% of Republicans said that they would consider the elections to be accurate if their candidate did not win. This is pretty incredible, folks. Here's a quote from Lee Meringoff, who's the director of the Marist College Institute for Public Opinion. Americans agree that our democracy is threatened, but strongly split along party lines as to the causes. When looking ahead to the 2024 presidential election, it is remarkable that a bedrock principle of democracy, that losing candidates and their supporters accept the results, is not held by nearly 2 in 3 Republicans who say they will question the results if their candidate does not win. Now, here's the alarming thing as far as the White House is concerned. President Joe Biden's approval rating is upside down. 44% of Americans approve of the job he's doing as president, and 49% disapprove. This compares with 44% approving, 46% disapproving in October. Now, folks, this is where things get even more alarming. Looking ahead to 2024, 36% of Democrats and Democrat-leaning independents say their party will have a better chance winning the White House with Biden at the top of the ticket, but 44% want someone else and 20% are unsure. So, folks, think about that for a second, okay? A majority of Democrats do not want Biden to be at the top of the ticket in 2024. In fact, let's take a look at this image, top of 2024 tickets. When they were asked, when the survey respondents were asked, do you think Democrats or Republicans have a better chance of winning the presidency in 2024 if Joe Biden, Donald Trump is the party's nominee, or if someone else is the party's nominee? Take a look at what Democrats said. 36% of Democrats said, yep, with Biden, we have a chance. 50% of Republicans said, with Trump, we have a chance. And as far as someone else is concerned, 35% of Republicans said someone else, which means Trump is the overwhelming favorite to lead the ticket in 2024. But 44% of Democrats said that someone else should lead the ticket. This, again, is very alarming information for Biden. This is very alarming news for President Biden and the White House. In fact, President Biden is still trying to sell his agenda to Congress, and he is the leader of the Democratic Party again. 44% of these voters want another Democrat at the top of the ticket in 2024, and 20% are unsure. The remaining 36% said they think Democrats have a better chance keeping control of the White House with Biden running for re-election. Folks, these numbers are absolutely terrible for President Biden. You don't have to be an expert in politics to know that this is big trouble for President Biden. But when we combine this with President Biden's approval ratings and a recent NBC poll that showed 71% of Americans believe the country is on the wrong track, you can see that there's big trouble for President Biden. In fact, here's a tweet from Meet the Press, and this tweet reads as follows. We have a brand new NBC News poll out this morning that's filled with tough news for Democrats. The country is headed in the wrong direction, 71% compared to right direction, 22%. And President Biden's job performance, disapprove 54% versus approve 42%. Let's take a closer look at this segment from Meet the Press. Let's roll the tape and watch this segment from NBC News, Meet the Press. Let's watch.
We have a brand new NBC News poll out this morning that's filled with some scary news for the Democrats. The overarching message: Americans have lost their confidence in President Biden and their optimism for the country. At least they have right now. Just 22% of adults say we're headed in the right direction. A shocking 71% say we're on the wrong track. And that includes a near majority of Democrats who are saying that. President Biden's approval rating stands at a dismal 42% versus 54% who disapprove. Believe it or not, just 2 months ago, Mr. Biden was in positive territory, 49% approving, 48% disapproving. So what's pulling down the president's numbers? Well, look at this set of numbers. Just 37% say he has the ability right now to handle a crisis versus nearly a majority who say he does not. 37% also say he's competent and effective as president. 50% disagree with that description. What's more, Republicans, believe it or not, have double-digit leads in dealing with border security, inflation, crime, national security, the economy, and shockingly, on getting things done. Democrats hold generally smaller double-digit leads on dealing with climate change, the coronavirus, education, and abortion. And that's really it right now. It's not clear yet whether any deal struck by Democrats on the social spending and infrastructure bills will nudge Mr. Biden's numbers back into positive territory, or whether the damage to his reputation is more of a scar than a bruise. But this much is clear. About the only good news for Mr. Biden and the Democrats in this poll is that the midterm elections aren't for another year.
So, folks, that's where things stand. Alarming news for President Biden. Now, I want you to know that I think the Democrats are doing what they can to establish some element of fairness, some element of equality. But at the end of the day, folks, all of these individuals are politicians. Politicians care about timing, opportunity, and they essentially try to drive a wedge between us. In other words, they focus on tribalism. And in the end, politics is all about perception. Right now, the perception is that Democrats simply cannot get their act together because Joe Manchin has clearly said he opposes the $1.75 trillion plan. We know that Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, the Democrat from Washington, is now ready to get her people behind voting for both bills. But the problem here is that Joe Manchin is single-handedly creating headaches for President Joe Biden, despite having spent more than 40 years in the United States Senate, has not been able to get the Democrats to a consensus. And that really is one of the main reasons why his approval ratings are low. And that indeed is why this is alarming news, this new information from NBC News and from the poll that we mentioned earlier. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. This channel is about the country, the economy, as well as our money. I'll continue to work hard on this channel every single day. All I ask of you is you please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications, and your support means a lot to me personally. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.